Hey guys, and thanks for stopping by my channel. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about the differences between a service dog and an emotional support dog. We're going to keep it simple today, and we're just going to talk about dogs because other animals technically can be service animals and emotional support animals. We're just going to keep it simple today, okay? So first we got to talk about what are they. So a service dog is a dog that has been highly trained to do specific tasks for a person that has a disability of some sort. Whether that be guiding the blind, alerting their owner to a seizure that's about to happen, helping with mobility, such as turning the lights on and off, opening and closing doors, picking up things that the owner has dropped. The point is that a service dog is a highly trained dog that has specific tasks that it is responsible for doing. The American Disabilities Act, or the ADA, specifies that service dogs are allowed to go anywhere that the public can go. So a service dog can go to a store, a bank, anywhere that you can go that's open to the public, a service dog is allowed to be there. Now, there are no specific paperwork or anything that an owner of a service dog needs to provide. The only things that the owner of an establishment or a building can ask the owner of a service dog is your dog a service dog? And what is your dog trained to do as a task? They are not allowed to ask your disability or anything like that. It violates privacy guidelines. So a service dog is basically allowed to go anywhere in the public. They don't require any type of paperwork. The only requirements that they have is that they must be wearing a collar or a harness or a vest of some sort, unless the disability makes that not an option, in which case the dog must be controlled with a voice command or some sort of signals. But those dogs must always be in control from the handler. Service dogs have to have a certain temperament. Not just any dog can be a service dog. A lot of breeds, they look at different breeds for their temperament. Now there are different breeds that can be service dogs, but a lot of times they look at Labradors and Golden Retrievers, although other breeds can be used. What happens is they get them as young puppies and they put them through puppy training school. A lot of dogs drop out of becoming a service dog because they do not have the proper temperament, they aren't obedient, they don't listen. Service dogs actually get started in training as a puppy. And during this time, trainers can see whether or not they are fit to be a service dog. Not just any dog can complete the training. So a lot of times the puppies end up as dropouts and they don't actually make it through to graduate as a service dog because they have to have the proper temperament, the proper obedience, and things of that nature to be able to perform those tasks. With there being so much training involved, there's also money involved. To get a service dog is not cheap, and oftentimes, if ever, insurance doesn't cover it. A lot of man hours go into training a service dog to do their specific tasks. So now, what is an emotional support dog? An emotional support dog is a dog that's mere presence helps someone with a mental problem, like me, with severe anxiety and depression, live a better, more fulfilled life. They help with calming the owners down in highly stressful situations. Emotional support dogs should have the right temperament. They shouldn't bark, bite, be aggressive, anything of that nature. Unfortunately, there is no black and white guidelines for emotional support dogs. So, unfortunately, anyone can just take their pet dog and say, this is an emotional support dog. Now, how can you tell the difference? That's the problem. And this is what infuriates me for the service dog community. I personally do not have a service dog. I do, however, have an emotional support dog. My Chihuahua, Titus, is legally an emotional support dog. How is that? What rights do service dogs have compared to emotional support dogs? Service dogs are allowed anywhere in the public. Grocery stores, clothing stores, banks, restaurants. They are allowed to be in any one of those places, regardless if someone else in the building is afraid of dogs or has allergic reactions to dogs. Those dogs are still allowed in those places. It is up to the people and the owners, if there is an allergic issue or a fear issue, to kind of keep them apart. But nowhere can a person with a legitimate service dog be kicked out of an establishment. And unfortunately, that happens a lot more than you realize. I just want to say this because it bears repeating. This video is not a tell-all video. It is just something that I wanted to bring to my channel to make people aware if they're not. If you look up on YouTube anything that has to do with service dogs or emotional support dogs, you will see what I am saying. There are people out there that have legitimate medical issues that are harassed into leaving places because they have a dog with them. Now listen, if you go to an establishment or you're in the public and you see a service dog will generally have a harness on or something, because the owners have to go out of their way now at this point to put a vest on the dog that says, do not touch, do not stare, dog is at work, that kind of thing. Because people get excited to see dogs, and I get it. When you see a dog that's in a place that normally there isn't a dog, like a movie theater or a grocery store, and you're like, oh my God, there's a dog. I get it. But that dog is working. So that dog is at work doing what it does best, whether it is guiding someone that is blind or watching for cues from that owner in case that owner has a seizure. You do not want to interfere with that dog's work. It may not look like that dog is doing anything, but they're there for a reason. If you make direct eye contact with that dog, if you call the dog or make kissy sounds or try to pet the dog, you are now interfering with that dog's job, which is to stay focused on its owner. So I know as much as you're tempted that you want to go say hi to the dog is not there for you. The dog is there to help its owner do whatever tasks it is trained to do. So please, I am asking nicely, do not interfere when there is a service dog out and about in the wild working with its owner, because you could be distracting that dog. And especially like if a person has seizures, the dog can tell before the person has a seizure and can warn that person, hey, you're gonna have a seizure, you might want to get into a comfortable, safe position. Because if you start having a seizure while you're standing or you're on a ladder or whatever, that dog will give you enough time to get into a comfortable position to have your seizure. Now, if you have seizures and your service dog is being distracted because some guy over there thinks that dog is cool looking and wants to talk to it, that dog is now focusing on that guy and not on you. And if you have a seizure and you are unfortunately standing or something like that, that guy is the reason that you could get hurt, because that dog is now paying attention to him and is not paying attention to its owner. I hope I've made that as clear as I possibly can. Service dogs have all the rights. Let's just say that. They have all the rights. They are allowed to be anywhere in the public. Emotional support dogs only have two. The first one is housing. If you live in a place that doesn't allow dogs, they still have to accommodate you and allow you to have your emotional support dog with you. The other right is planes. And this is where the paperwork is going to come into play, okay? An emotional support dog is allowed to be on a plane. If you take your pet dog on a plane, you have to pay their ticket, a fee, their price to be on board that plane. They also have to be in a carrier. If they are a large dog, they go in cargo under the plane, which, by the way, I hate. Regardless, if it's a small dog and it's a pet dog, it has to stay in its carrier under the seat if it can fit under the seat. If you have an emotional support dog, that dog is allowed to ride on the plane for free and is allowed to remain on your lap the whole time it's in the plane. It has to stay on your lap to help you if you have issues flying, which I do. I'll insert a picture here, you guys. Also, I have a vlog that I took when I brought Titus with me on a plane ride to show kind of a little bit of what it's like to fly with an emotional support dog. Every airport must provide a room that is a pet relief area, because once you pass security, you cannot leave the airport. You're stuck in the airport. So if you have a pet with you and that pet has to go to the bathroom, regardless if it's an emotional support animal, a pet, or a service animal, that pet needs to have a place to go and do its business. So in my video that I'll post down below, I'll show you 2 examples of what those pet relief stations look like. Now here is where the paperwork comes into play. The only time you need paperwork to show proof that you have an emotional support dog is if it's for housing. If you live in a place that doesn't allow pets, but you have an emotional support dog, you need proper paperwork to show that that dog is legitimate. The other is for flying. Whenever I booked my flight, I told them, you have to tell them, because they only allow so many animals on a plane at one time. I had to tell them that I had a dog. It wasn't an emotional support animal, and they told me the paperwork that I had to fill out in order to get him privileges to ride on that plane. Here's where the concern comes into play. The paperwork that I get is legitimate. It comes from my psychiatrist. My psychiatrist has evaluated Titus's temperament. I take him with me every office visit that I go to, and she knows him very well. She has decided that he has the temperament, and our bond is very, very strong, that he should be an emotional support animal. And because of that, I do have paperwork stating that from my psychiatrist. Now, I do have to pay my psychiatrist like any doctor, like you'd have to pay any doctor, but I did not pay for her to write me that letter. That was free of charge. That was just so that when I did my plane ride, they knew that this dog, I needed it in order to fly. Or if you would need it for housing. Where the trouble comes into play is that people take advantage of this. They take advantage of the fact that it is not a black and white subject, and there's a lot of gray areas. So people will bring their pet dogs that may be unruly, may bark, may not be housebroken, may bite someone, and they say and play it off as an emotional support dog. And how do they do that? They will go online, and places have been popping up, and you can go right now and you can check they're still there. You can buy a legitimate emotional support dog paper where some company will just say, yes, Titus is an emotional support dog, signed fake doctor name here, and they'll send you that paper, and they'll send you a cute little vest that says working dog or whatever for a fee, for only $19.99, for only $59.99, for only $179.99, wherever they get this random number from that they want to charge you money for. That way you think you can bring that dog that has paperwork anywhere. And that is just not true. It's not legal, and it is not right. I have paperwork for Titus saying he is an emotional support animal so I could take him on a plane with me. The only other places that I actually do take Titus, because he is not a service dog, is I will take him to stores that are pet friendly. Not just service dog friendly. All stores should be service dog friendly. But if it is a pet store friendly, I will take Titus with me because I like to get him some socialization, and it makes me feel better and keeps me concentrated on him and his well-being instead of all the other things around me that freak me out and gives me anxiety. So there are certain stores that I can bring him to. I call ahead of time to make sure that it is okay. And I don't throw a fit. A lot of people take advantage of the system, and I need to see that stop. This for the service dog people, because when they have a legitimate medical condition that requires them to have this dog, I don't want to see people ruin it for everyone. It takes just certain people that are just going to ruin it for everyone. I see this all the time. Service dogs do not need paperwork. They are allowed to go anywhere. The only things that an owner of a building or a business or whatever can ask that person is your dog a service dog, and what are its tasks that it is trained to do? That's it. Emotional support dogs only need paperwork if they are going on a plane or if it is for housing. So if you try to take little Muffin or Fifi or whatever, your little pet dog with you into that fancy new restaurant and then hand them some BS paper that says my dog is an emotional support dog and he's allowed to be here, not only is that illegal, you're not supposed to do that, but you are now making everybody that has legitimate issues look bad, me included, because I follow the rules. The service dog people should be following the rules, and they usually do. And it is the pet people. If your dog is a pet dog and it doesn't have the right temperament, do not take it out into the public and pass it off as a service dog or an emotional support dog. That makes us look bad, and that makes you look bad as well. I wanted to add, this is going to be such a long video, I wanted to add that even pet people screw things up, even if it's just their pets. And I'll tell you why, because I have an example. When I took Titus to the airport, when I went to fly to Florida to visit my grandparents, my sister was with me at the time, and at the time she had her kid with her. She had a stroller, she had the wipes, and I also had a bag. It was my carry-on bag, and a lot of it was stuff for Titus. I brought him in a Ziploc bag because he was still a puppy. He wasn't fully grown yet at the time. I brought a pee pad in a Ziploc bag with some urine on it so that when we went to the pet relief area, I could put that down so that he realized and he could understand, hey, this is my pee, this is where I pee. Yeah, I carried that, but it was in a Ziploc bag, so you couldn't smell it. And I also brought belly bands. Belly bands are like male diapers for dogs. It doesn't cover their bum, it just goes around the middle so that if they have to pee, they can pee. And it doesn't go anywhere. It's basically a diaper for boy dogs. What I saw at the, you guys, I never travel, like hardly ever. And the one time that I went, my sister and I were going to the pet relief area. She was walking with me down the way. And there were these young women that were in front of us dragging their little dogs. I don't know if they were Maltese or Shih Tzu. They were little fluffy dogs. I don't remember what kind. And the one dog was pooping as she was walking it. And we said, hey, your dog is taking a crap. And she's like, oh. And she watched the dog take a crap, and then she walked away. Like, in what world is that okay? If I went into the airport and just took a dump in the middle of an aisle in an airport, I'd go to jail. She just walks away like, it's fine. Luckily, my sister was kind enough to pick that up. She had baby wipes and towels and things like that, and we had trash bags, and my sister cleaned it up, and we took it to the pet relief area. But it is people like that. After that, I also heard of, I don't remember when this happened, but a man was on an airplane, and in between flights, the stewards and stewardesses, the flight attendants, don't really have time to really clean the plane. They can only do so much because time is money. Boom, boom, boom. Got to get those flights out. So there was a man that got on a plane. He sat down in a pile of dog crap because the person that was sitting there before him had a dog with them. Let the dog crap on the seat and left. Didn't clean it up. No, not their responsibility, apparently. Which it is, by the way. I'm sorry I'm getting heated. It's a sensitive topic for me. So the man had to stand the entire flight. I don't know why he stood. Like, he already sat in it. You might as well just, whatever. But he stood the entire flight. I have heard of people bringing dogs on the plane that bite people. This is not okay. Even if it's an emotional support dog, your dog should not be biting people. If the dog bites, it needs to be in a carrier. I'm not saying the dog is a bad dog. Maybe the owner should train better, but that is now a public safety hazard. So please, do not try to pass off your dog as an emotional support animal, especially if it doesn't have the right temperament. Titus, when I take him out, he was on a plane, and when we go out to stores and things like that, he is quiet. I know you hear him barking in my videos because he's at home. He's a different dog when he's at home. But when we go out, he is quiet. He doesn't bite anyone. He basically wants people to leave him alone. He was meant for me. We are soulmates. He doesn't want people bothering him. And I tell people as much. And usually people are cool about it because they don't know the dog. They don't want to get bit. But some people are nuts. Some people will walk up to dogs and pet them without even asking. That's another thing. I know I'm going off on a tangent and this was supposed to be a short video, but don't ever assume when you see a dog out in the world that dog is nice. Don't just go up and pet a dog you don't know. Always ask the owner first. And if the owner says no, please respect that, because they know the dog better than you do, or they don't want that dog socializing, or whatever their reasons are. Just respect that. The dog is not there for you. Anyways, so basically, service dogs have all the rights. Emotional support dogs have 2 rights. There's a difference, a very, very big difference. Highly trained, expensive, good temperament. Just its presence calms you down, but should have a good temperament as well. I hope that cleared things up for you. I'm sorry if this video got long. I go off on tangents sometimes. Thank you so much for watching, hanging out with me, and putting up with my weirdness. If you're new to my channel, yeah, we're weird here. If you have any questions or concerns or just any stories you want to talk about, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. And if there's anything I can answer for you, I surely will try. Anyways, thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.